Hello and welcome to Dave's Model Workshop. Today I am starting work on my science fiction anti-gravity lighthouse thing. Still haven't come up with a better name. If you've got a better name, please, I'm all ears. So I've just taken an ordinary bottle, a 2-litre soft drink bottle. I'll show you a photo of it here. This is the stuff, pub squash. It's horrible, it's sugary and nasty and fake. Just pour it down the sink. Terrible. And I've cut it into 3 sections. So this is going to be my main section. I've also started looking at all my spare bits and pieces to see how I can scratch build just mechanical interior engine-y looking stuff. Here's all the bits and pieces I've collected for this. And now let's see what we can do. So the plan is to have it floating above my base that I've built previously. If you check my channel you can see how I've made the ocean effect previously. So yeah, it's going to be floating up here, and that's the plan. So I'm going to keep going from here. The main components for my engine are going to be these. So this burner came off an old stove. This is an old fan from a CPU, a computer processor, and I'm thinking something like that. And these are just various bits and pieces I've taken off of old bits of machinery that have died, coffee makers and the like. I think this was a printer that died. And I'm thinking, yeah, something like this. Obviously that needs a good clean, but something like this for my anti-gravity thrusting machine. So it'll be thrusting down like that from the bottom of the machine. I'm going to go and give this a good wash because it's filthy, full of dust from years of CPUing. Yeah, give it a wash and see what we can do. Once it's cleaned up, it looked a little bit better and it fits nicely inside the bottom of the hull. And I also found a radial engine for manoeuvring, which I'll show you more of in a tick. After 2 evenings of farting about scratch building, here's where the engine is looking at this stage. So this is the sort of top of the engine, this will be the bottom, that'll be where it sort of thrusts down the bottom there, and this will be how, well, that won't be how, this will roughly be how the body sits on top of it. So you'll have the main thruster thingy poking out the bottom, and then this kind of secondary thruster poking out at the side for, I don't know, for navigation or adjustments. So I've cut a little hole in the main hull, and all I've been doing is putting bits and pieces together. So stuck this piece of spare plastic onto this, a couple of spare bits and pieces stuck to that old radial engine. I think it's a 1/32 radial engine from Japanese George fighter plane, I think, and just sticking various bits of detailing to it. And really, when you're scratch building, the best stuff you can have is just a pile of odds and sods, leftover sprue bits, spares from kits, bits and pieces you've got just sitting around. And it's all just about adapting as you go and kind of making it look real, getting a couple of good references, and just trying to come up with stuff that looks plausible and workable. So there's still much more plumbing to be added onto that there. I'm going to keep the bottom brass piece separate until the very end because I'm going to keep that just with a natural finish. I think that looks realistic and it's beautiful. I'm never going to get such a good natural metal finish as natural brass. The pieces we've got here, so yeah, radial engine, fan from a CPU, piece from a printer, and bit from an old barbecue, or oven I think. I'm going to keep going and show you again in a little while. More bits and pieces added to it, just bits of styrene, bits from old computer motherboards, yeah, nothing too complicated, just nice, small, interesting bits. And this is where we're at after about a week and a half of playing with it. So it doesn't look like much yet, I'll grant you that. In fact, if you get up close here, that looks positively terrible. I will admit that looks ghastly, but I'm planning to hide a lot of that nastiness there with a weld seam. But what we do have is, yeah, we've cut out like a little crew hatch there. I've added a little port here. It's very tricky to get focus on a transparent item. Added a little port here for like a control rudder or something to hang down below, and I've started marking up some of the pieces on the hull. As for the engine, so you can see I've added this heat shield thing here. I don't actually know what it is. So I've scratch built those little pistons there, those hydraulics, using some wire for the hydraulic lines, and then just various sizes of styrene rod for, come on, focus, for the pistons, the hydraulics. The actual heat shield, I've bent that just using some boiling water. It's a pretty easy technique. Just plonk your styrene into some boiling water, give it a couple of 30 seconds, pull it out again and bend it, and it tends to hold the shape that you've bent it into. I still haven't attached the metal thing there because I'm going to keep that the original colour, and just added various bits and pieces to the engine to try and make it a little more convincing. And I think it's looking good. So at the moment, it's not the most realistic in the world, but I think once it's all spray painted, it'll be pretty convincing. Fingers crossed. I'm going to call it a day there for this. I'm going to come back and do part 2 once I've got some more interesting stuff to show you, because I don't want to keep these videos too long. If you have any questions or anything, please comment below. I hope this is of interest as a general come with me as I work through my latest project journey together. And yeah, I'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching, and chat to you soon.